Hey you guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we are doing a video that I have been anticipating for quite a while. We are going to be talking about what I can pretty confidently say is my very favorite eyeshadow brand in the world. That is Sydney Grace Cosmetics. After hearing a lot of good things about this brand, I tried them out for the first time back in February and they blew my already high expectations out of the water. That was when I tried out their Enduring Love palette, fell in love with it, and it really started me on this very fun but perhaps dangerous path of collecting most of their single individual eyeshadows. So many months and several orders later, I now have most of their individual shadows. I don't have them all, but I have a large majority of them, perhaps with the exception of some of their extremely bold shades. I pretty much have all of their neutrals as well as a couple of colors. We're going to talk all about them today. They do, I think, have a sale coming up very soon. They usually do 2 sales a year, one in July. It's kind of their Christmas in July sale, and then they do another sale around the holiday season or Black Friday time. So I wanted to get this video up for you guys before that sale happens. I'll talk a little bit more about that when we talk about their pricing and discounts and that kind of thing as we get into the video. But this has turned into perhaps the longest intro I have ever done. So before we jump into the video, I just want to welcome any new visitors to my channel. Hope that you enjoyed this one. If you do, please give it a thumbs up and make sure that you are subscribed to my channel. And with that said, let's talk about some really amazing eyeshadows. So today we're specifically talking about my individual shadows from the Sydney Grace brand. I do also own the Enduring Love palette, one of the best eyeshadow palettes, if not perhaps the very best eyeshadow palette in my collection. I highly recommend it, but we're not going to be talking about this one today. If you're interested in a review on this, I did do a full review as well as a 7 looks video on this palette. I will link both of those videos for you guys right here and down below if you want to check that out. But let's talk about their singles. So these are all the singles that I have. They actually normally fit into this large pan and 2 of these smaller pans right here. Right now they're kind of spread out because I did put together some quad combinations that I'm going to swatch and recommend for you guys a little later on in the video. I'm just going to hold them up for you guys really quickly. Here I have a collection of some blues and silvers. Some of these, again, I have taken out for some of the quad selections that I have for you guys, including a couple in this palette, so we'll get into these quad selections in a minute. A lot of these are some of my very favorite shades. I also have these warmer shimmers right here. Here I have their deeper mattes, again, the ones that aren't already part of the quad selections that I've come up with. And then here are the ones left over in the lighter mattes and the lighter shimmers. I did go through and pick out my very favorite shades, which was very difficult to do. I will highlight those for you guys when we get into the swatches. So altogether, I have 45 of their mattes and 47 of their shimmers, most of which on their website, they're actually called their pressed pigment. They do have another shimmer formula, but their really metallic formula is called their pressed pigment formula. And it is definitely my favorite formula and a very reflective metallic formula, not for the faint of heart. So let's jump into some swatches. As we're going through the swatches, I just wanted to let you guys know that I will have an asterisk or a star next to the shades that I consider my very, very favorites. That was a very difficult challenge, picking out favorites amongst these. I love them all. So if you have a question why something's not my favorite, or if I wouldn't recommend it, there is not a shade that I swatched today for you guys that I would not recommend. They are all amazing. I think I have used pretty much all of the shades at least once so far. I tried to use on my eye look today a couple of shades that I hadn't reached into yet. We'll get into those in a little bit. Let's go ahead and go through the swatches. So I grouped these out into kind of categories, starting with the first category, which is their lighter shimmers. So in this category, I have all of kind of my highlight shades. I consider these to be like the lid shades. These are the ones that I love to put on my inner corner or my inner lid. You guys probably know how much I love a bright inner lid or inner corner. I love Sydney Grace's formula because they are so reflective and bold. Anything in this category I absolutely love and would recommend. The next set of swatches I have are my more mid-tone pink and purple shimmers. Lots of beautiful shades in this one. I really love the way Sydney Grace does pink and purple eyeshadow. I know I only have a handful of these starred, but I'm telling you guys, the ones starred in this category are probably my favorites across the board. They are exceptionally beautiful. If you are at all into a soft pink or a purple metallic, these are the best ones I think I've ever tried. Next category, we're jumping into some mattes. These are the lighter or more cool toned mattes. I love the Sydney Grace matte eyeshadow formula. It is so easy to work with. They're truly one of those formulas that just kind of blend themselves. You don't need a really fancy brush. They'll work with any brush that you have. And I love their cool tone mattes. When it comes to matte eyeshadows, I generally find that warmer tone mattes seem to be easier to blend as a general rule than cool tone mattes. Often when you get into that kind of cool or gray tone matte formula, sometimes they can be a little bit tricky to blend, but I don't find that to be the case with any of their cool toned matte shadows. Next set of swatches are my warmer mattes in kind of the light to medium range. Love so many of these. They are so beautiful. Perfect transition shades. This is one of the categories I especially had a hard time picking favorites because I just think they're all so good. And when it comes to lighter or mid-tone shades, I kind of feel like in looks that you create, the shades that you use in your transition shade or as your kind of initial shade, you can use anything. Like you can use a warm matte to go with a cooler tone look or vice versa. Because they give you that subtle pop of color, it's a really good way to add just like a hint of color or a hint of a different tone to a look that just gives your look a little bit of variety. Like for instance, throwing say the yellow Gisa Lang or even mango tea into your crease for even like a gray or a silver look could be really pretty and fun without being too bold or over the top. But as far as just good staple basics, those are the ones that I ended up picking as my favorites. Next to light metallic shimmers, warm tone deep mattes are probably my favorite category of eyeshadow out there. I love deep, warm, rich tones in my outer corner. Again, this is a category that was hard to pick favorites in because I just love all of them so much. I think there's a couple I haven't used yet. I haven't yet used Piper's Piping. It looks very similar to Solomon, but I haven't actually tried that one out yet to see how similar those two are. There is definitely a lot of crossover between a lot of these shades. Hopefully in the swatches you guys will be able to see that. I think if you want like a deep red brown or a deep neutral red, you could really pick any one of these shades interchangeably. You certainly don't need them all. And now that I have a lot of shades that I think are similar to each other, I can officially say that you could kind of just pick one, especially when it comes to neutrals. Any of those shades that are close to what you're looking for will do a fantastic job. Next set of swatches are my deep cool tone mattes. So many pretty shades in here. Clearly I have a thing for greens, which you guys probably can tell by all of the greens that I have highlighted here. I love matte greens and these ones are so pretty. I am wearing one of these shades on my eyes today. We'll get to that as we get into the quads that I picked out for you guys, but honestly I think you couldn't go wrong with any of these shades, particularly the ones that I have highlighted as favorites. Next up are the cool medium to deep tone shimmers. Three of the shades in this category that I have favorited are probably three of my very favorite shades across the board, and those would be Cadet, Recruit, and Tiara. Such beautiful lid shades. I do have some of these in the quads that I've picked out that I'll mention in a minute, but honestly any of these shades, if you like deeper tone shimmers or sparkly smoky eyes, you'll absolutely love these shades. The shade Purple Sky, that's a very deep shade that I probably won't use super often, but there is something so special about this shade. It is so unique. There are so many different colors of reflex in it. It is such a beautiful shade. And last up are my warmer mid-tone shimmers. So many beautiful shades in this one as well. If you like warm tones, if you like metallics, honestly you couldn't go wrong with any one of these. But I will say, of everything in this set, I think the shade Bronze to Perfection is the most perfect bronze ever. It's not too warm, but it's also not cool. I feel like it's a shade that would look good on any eye color, any skin tone across the board. It is absolutely stunning. So now I want to get into some quad options that I've selected for you guys. Most of these are pretty monochromatic because generally speaking, when I think of a quad, what I would need to create a completed look from start to finish, I'm definitely someone that favors more monochromatic makeup looks. You certainly could do mixing and matching, but if you're just looking for a place to start and you don't want to spend $100 on individual eyeshadows, hopefully this will be a good place for you to start or give you guys some ideas. So let's start off with this quad that I have selected right here. So these are what I'm calling the warm browns. This will give you a really good basic warm brown look, and in this one we have the shades Demure, Bronze to Perfection, I already talked about that shade, Toffee, and Dark Chocolate. So let me swatch these for you guys. So here we have Demure, Bronzed to Perfection. Look at that bronze. I mean, you've got to admit that is just a perfect bronze shadow. Toffee, really good neutral transition shade if you want a basic. This is probably one of the ones I would most recommend if you don't mind something that's a little bit warm. I don't think it's too warm, but it does lean a little bit warm. And then this one is Dark Chocolate, really nice deep chocolatey brown. I know this is a very simple basic look, but if you like basics, if you like warm browns, I'm telling you guys, you could not go wrong with this combination right here. Next I have another set of basics. This one I'm calling the more cool toned browns. We have Elegance, Hot Stuff, Speedway, and Enjoy the Ride. So let me swatch these ones for you guys. These ones are still neutral. They're still very brown, but I'd say they lean a little bit more on the neutral to cool side. So if you're not into warm tones, this one would be a good option for you. And then we have Speedway. It's almost a purple toned or a gray toned brown. And Enjoy the Ride. Let me just build that one up a little bit so you can see the depth that you could get out of it. So there's a really good option if you like cool tones a little bit better, or just neutral browns. This is a fantastic combination right there. Next up, we have some of my favorite greens. Now I know you might look at this and think those are barely greens, but that's how I like my greens. So let me just show you how, or actually first let me tell you guys what these ones are. So right here we have the shade Green Mist. This is the shade Cadet. This is the shade Ivy League. And right here we have the shade Moss. There's actually another green that there's a couple other greens that I went back and forth between, including these two right here. I love both of those greens as well, but there's just something really special about this one. It's like a blue toned gray green that I just think is so flattering on the eyes. But if you like more warm greens or more khaki greens, these are also beautiful options. And these two are Bravo, another one of my favorites, probably my next favorite, and then the shade General. In fact, maybe I'll swatch those ones as well just to give you guys some options. So let's start with Green Mist. I love this. It's kind of an icy, it's almost a white gold, but it has a very strong green shift to it. It is a duochrome. Next to that, I have the shade Cadet, one of my very favorite shades of all 90 shades of theirs that I have. So pretty on the lids. This is a green for people that are not fans of greens. Then we have the shade Ivy League. If you want something neutral, green, like a green brown in your transition, this is a great shade. It has just the tiniest hint of a green. And then this is the shade Moss, which is so stunning. Oh, such a pretty combination. I think that would be a perfect eye look. And honestly, with the two shimmers, you could use them both, or you could do either or, whether you want something really, really bright and iridescent and kind of duochromed, or something a little bit darker. They're both stunning, or even together, they look amazing. Let me just show you the two other greens though, in case you are looking for something a little bit more army in tone. So we have the shade right here. That's the shade Bravo, another beautiful shade. Honestly, oh, I'm kind of thinking maybe that one I like better. I like them both. This is a very tough choice. And then the shade right here, which is just a little bit deeper, and that is the shade General. So that would be my suggestion. These first three, and then any one of these last three deep greens I think would be amazing. Next combination is the one that I'm wearing on my eyes today, and that's these right here. So this color right here I tried for the first time today. This is the color Thrilled, and I'm thrilled with it. I think it looks amazing. Let me just walk you guys through what I am wearing and how these swatch. So this is probably one of my well, I think I've said that a few times. One of my favorite lid shades from them. It's the shade Tiara. This one is Dive. Let's swatch those two first. Basically, Tiara is just a really basic silver with a hint of taupe in it. Kind of a mid-tone. It's not super bright, but it's so reflective that it looks on the lid brighter than it is. So that's what I'm wearing on the inner part of my lid. Then on the outer part of my lid, I have this shade Dive, which is a beautiful iridescent teal green that has a subtle gold shift to it. It is super, super beautiful. Then in my transition, I have this shade Camel. Another good basic neutral, great transition shade if you have light or fair skin and you like something that's just subtly warm. And then last is the shade in my outer corner, the shade Thrilled. Beautiful deep teal. So that's the combination that I'm wearing today. I think it is stunning, and I think a good option if you do like a little bit of color and you like some blue greens in your life. This is a beautiful, beautiful combination. Next up is this combination right here. I'm calling this one kind of my warm pinky peach combination. A couple more of my favorite shades in this set. This is one of my very favorites. It's the shade Blondie, which is a really good just kind of shell pink. This is the shade Lucky Peach. I think I've probably used Blondie perhaps more than any other shade. It's one of my favorite ones to put on my lid. It goes whether I'm doing warms or like cool kind of purple tones or gray tones. And then this is the shade Lucky Peach. Beautiful pink that has a gold reflect to it. So, so pretty. And then the mattes down below, we have the shade Peyton's Puppy. Another fantastic transition option if you like something that's a little bit more on kind of the pinky peach side. And then last, one of my favorite deep shades, or my most used deep shades, is the shade Plummet. I like to call it Plume. I don't know why, but I did ask Siri one time and it is plummet. It's not plume. Apparently I made up that word, but just sounds a little bit more pretty, more French. But it's a beautiful warm purple toned brown. Stunning combination right there. If you're into pinks or peaches, I think this would be a really good combination. Last combination, we have a neutral soft purple combination. Some of my favorite shades in this one as well. I know I keep saying that, which is probably annoying, but truly if you are into purples, these two shimmers especially will knock your socks off. So these two right here are the shades Always Yours the Greatest Gift, which I think is one of their best-selling shades, I believe. So here's the shade Always Yours, a really pretty lavender. This is the shade Greatest Gift, which is basically a lavender purple with a green shift to it. I don't know how well that's coming across on camera, but I'm telling you guys, this on the lid is stunning. It has the prettiest reflect to it. And then for the mattes, we have the shades Winter Wonder. This shade I actually accidentally happened upon. So in one of my orders, they sent me a wrong shade. So when I contacted them to fix it, which by the way, they have the best customer service ever, they sent me back my correct shade along with a freebie. And this is the one that they gave me. And I absolutely love it. It's a beautiful, soft, lavender purple, super pretty shade in your transition area. And last is the shade Officer, which is kind of a blackened purple. It is very deep. You guys know how much I love a deep outer corner. I feel like this combination would be super stunning. I did just want to mention for you guys, so they have a couple of purples similar to this one, which is Always Yours, on their website, and they look somewhat similar on their website. So I wanted to swatch them next to each other so you guys can see the subtle differences. I know I already swatched them on my arm together, but just so you can see how they compare to this one and why I think this one just very slightly is my favorite. So similar to the shade Always Yours is this shade right here, which is the shade Go For It. This one does just have a tiny bit more of a pink shift to it, whereas this is more of a cool tone lavender. So if you like something that leans a little bit more pink, I'd probably go for this one. There's just something about this cool tone purple on the lid that just looks really bright and pretty. And the last one that is somewhat similar, and this is another one of my very favorite shades, if you like something not so strongly pigmented or a little bit more neutral, is this shade right here, which is the shade Troops. Look how pretty that is. This is definitely more of a taupey purple. So again, my point in bringing this up is if you wanted to swap out this purple with one of these two, you absolutely could do that. Stick with these three right here and have a fantastic quad. So that is it for my quad recommendations for you guys. Honestly, we could be here all day. I could probably create a quad out of everything that I have left. So if there is a shade that maybe caught your eye that I didn't feature in a quad or didn't have favorited, if you like the shade, I promise you will love the formula. I really do love all of these colors. It was very difficult for me to pick favorites. But hopefully that information is helpful for you guys. If you've been looking into Sydney Grace, wondering where to start or what to pick up, hopefully this video gives you guys some ideas. I do just want to say a couple more things about Sydney Grace. I don't think I mentioned the price. The matte shadows on their website are full price $5. The shimmers or pressed pigments on the website are $6 a piece. As I mentioned before, they do typically do a sale twice a year, one during the Black Friday timeframe, one during the month of July. They also do have coupon codes out there. I use Mel Thompson's coupon code every time I order from them, and that does give you 15% off, which is a pretty good chunk. I will link that coupon code for you guys down below. I don't have one of my own, but I'm very happy to give Mel the credit because she is probably one of the first people that really drew me to this brand in the first place. And while we're talking about Mel, she also has an eyeshadow palette called the Tiny Marvels palette. I believe it's sold out again. It's been on there a few times and sold out really quickly. I've heard amazing things about that palette. I do have an interest in picking that up at some point, but if you're on their website, if you're curious about that palette, if it looks appealing to you, I am pretty positive I can recommend it to you even though I haven't tried it. And I do recommend supporting Mel Thompson. She is amazing. In fact, I will link her video down below as well. If you want to go to a couple different places to see swatches, she's done a Sydney Grace swatch video and also Sarah Hubler has done one. So I will link both of those videos down below. One last thing to note, if you're wondering where I get these clear containers, I actually get these from Coastal Scents. Sydney Grace does offer some empty palettes that are much cuter, but they're almost always sold out. So if you're looking for an affordable way to store your single shadows, Coastal Scents is the way to go. I think these ones right here are like $4 and these ones are about $10. But I think that is everything. I hope that you guys enjoyed this one. I cannot say enough good things about Sydney Grace eyeshadows. If you are looking for a really good performing eyeshadow formula, they definitely have my stamp of approval. So that's all I have for you guys today. I hope that you guys enjoyed this. Thank you guys again for stopping by. Hope that you guys are doing well. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel before you leave if you haven't done that, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye. That's way cheesy. 2 thumbs up, Mandy. Seriously? Siskel and Ebert? No. I don't remember Siskel and Ebert. That was like the thing back in the 90s, huh? Don't try this at home, kids. Don't put a razor blade in your mouth.